Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. The new racism today is that there is no racism in white people and black people are the racists. Now before I get into that, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought and comment, add it in the comment section. All comments are welcome. Now, the reason why I say this, the new racism today, is that white people are not racist, and it is the black people that is racist. Oftentimes in my exchange on Facebook, and believe it or not, years ago, one of the reasons I got on Facebook was I was watching some of the comments that I would see on Facebook concerning race, and most intrigued me was those of Christians. In a sense, it was sort of an awakening for me to see that racism or racist thoughts or prejudice or bigotry, racial bigotry, I should say, was so prevalent among Christians because it shouldn't be. Jesus, after all, tells us that a new command that I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you. He says, by this all the world will know you are my disciples if you have love one to another. And so for that to be so blatantly violated in favor of race. Now, of course, we have to understand the long history of race in this country. If you want to understand racism in this country, you have to understand the history. What's more shocking, of course, is the church is complicit in the racism and slavery and Jim Crow, and how it even today lingers. In other words, there are people today that kind of cloak their racism in this "we're not racist" attitude. That's my statement. The new racism is that white people are not racist. America is not racist. Or at least most of us is not. I ask this question, and usually when I ask pointed questions, I never get an answer. Here's my one pointed question: when did America stop being racist? Right? If you say that America is not racist, if you say that America is mostly not racist, and then you go back in history, for 80% of this our history, it was racist. Slavery was an evil racism. Jim Crow, an even more evil period of time. And you have to understand why, now get this, you have to understand why we were racist. See, that it's not the fact that we had an oopsie-daisy law and we made some mistakes. No, you enslaved and oppressed a particular race of people. That involved hatred. It involved this inflated superiority of your own race. But you condition your mind to say that was okay. You know what's interesting? You look at some what's called sex trafficking today. People are outraged over it. In other words, people are asking the question today: how can fellow human beings treat someone like this? 10 years ago in Cleveland, Ohio, the man named Ariel Castro. It was discovered that he had kidnapped and held for 10 years, 3 women who were young at the time, as young, I'm going to say in their late teens, and they were held for nearly 10 years. And it was just kind of a horrible situation. And people were asking the question again, how could this happen? My answer is, I'm sorry, we had slavery for 400 years on this land. It's very easily how. See? Here's my point. So today, and especially coming from, what I would say is conservative white evangelicals, they're the ones who's asking the question the most, or this what's called new racism that I'm calling, where basically here is the thought: America Yeah, we were racist, that slavery thing, but it's ancient history. 200 years ago, even though it was 150, right? Ancient history, so far back we can't even see, right? Now, again, this is something that is diabolical in that you're deliberately trying to erase a history. I'm going to show you how close we are. My grandmother, now I'm 60 years old, my grandmother was born in 1900. I think how close that is to slavery. Slavery ended in 1865. Okay, so she is just a generation, two max from slavery at the time of her birth. Another thing is that, so what I find is that there are people who try to claim this new racism, what I'm going to call. In other words, what they don't do is they never talk about white racism. They never talk about really the details of the sins of this country. For example, contrast if you tell them, okay, they don't have a problem talking about Islam. I see postings on Facebook and YouTube and social media all the time about the horrors of Islam, the beheadings, how they treat women, all that kind of stuff. But they don't want to talk about what this nation, America, did for 400 years. Now, on top of that, they have kind of, or at least say in a pathetic way, tried to flip the script and say black people are the problems. Black people are the racists. I myself have been called racist. Why? For talking about racism. Why are you just hanging on? Why you just keep bringing up racism? These are all the kind of clapbacks that I get for talking about the subject of racism. Here's my rebuttal to that. The same reason why they post and talk about the horrors of Islam, the beheadings and all of that, right? We still talk about 9/11. We still talk about World War II, Pearl Harbor. We talk about all of these things, but we don't want to talk about slavery. The problem is that people don't want to reverse this. And I'm saying the people who shout this the loudest, who want to say, black people, you shut up about what we did to you. They, to me, are the ones who have the biggest problems. Of course, you have conservative media groups who go out of their way. And media can be a dangerous thing. Media such as Breitbart, Drudge Report, Fox News, that constantly present images a certain way. And this new racism, they're not going to call me the N-word. I go back to what was called the Southern strategy. You use elements of that. The Southern strategy was developed in the 70s under the Nixon administration. And in a sense, this is what they did. They said, okay, guys, take off your sheets, right? Don't go around burning crosses, right? Don't use the N-word. Use creative words, right? That's this kind of strategy. And it's working. And it's worked, at least among them. Where you can come back and you can say, guess what? Black people, y'all the problem. You're the cause of race. And one of the things you see right now is the same thing. They go, one of the first arguments the person would talk about with slavery is this. Well, black people own slaves. Well, the first slave owner in America was the black man. Really? That's your argument? How about this? Are you really telling me then that, the slave laws and the slave codes and Jim Crow was for black slave owners? You see how silly that is? This new racism is a pathetic attempt to reverse or flip the script to say, white people, we're just misunderstood. Black people, bad. And no, it doesn't work, y'all. Good-minded people, goodwill people, no. It's just simply not true. We have history. And guess what? They wrote it down, okay? And not only history, but we also have the present. Look, remember when those white supremacists marched in Charlottesville, and they were saying Jews will not replace us. These were white supremacists right now in this day and age. Alright guys, that's my perspective, and as always, like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. Till next time, I'll see you then.